Welcome to lesson 3 of module 2. In this video, we're going to be looking at transport systems, and this is part 2 of the autotroph series. Welcome to lesson 3 of module 2, based on autotrophs, and this is part 2 of the autotroph series. In this video, we're going to be focusing on transport systems and how they move materials around plants. When we talk about the movement of materials around plants, it is done so. In contrast to the circulatory system of heterotrophs, we have vascular system. And in this vascular system, it is composed of vascular tissue, which transports water and mineral ions absorbed in the soil, as well as sugars that are produced in the leaves to cells throughout the plant. This vascular system is visible in the parallel veins in grasses and branching veins in other leaves. Here we can see that the vascular system and this vascular bundle moves all the way from the root all the way up to the leaves at the top of the plant. Again, we can see that the organization in the roots compared to the leaves is different, but we do see that both the xylem and the phloem tissue run from the root to that leaf tissue. The xylem is responsible for transporting water and inorganic nutrients, which are mineral ions, absorbed by the roots from the soil to an aerial level to aerial parts of the plant. It is composed of xylem vessels and elongated cells called tracheids. These long water-filled tubes consist of elongated cells which are joined end to end, and as these cells mature, the cell wall is strengthened with lignin, making them stronger and more rigid. Here we can see the mature xylem vessels, and these are cylindrical skeletons of dead cells, which are joined end to end to make a continuous tube all the way from the roots to the leaves, like we saw earlier. They are perforated or complete openings at each end, which acts kind of like a straw so that the fluid flows directly through them. There are some pits which are unthickened areas and perforations in the side walls, and this allows the water to move sideways to the neighbouring vessels in the vascular bundle. And we also have the tracheids, and these are single large tapering water-filled cells that form part of the xylem tissue. When these tracheids mature, they lose their nucleus in the cytoplasm, which leads to cell death, but it does create an open structure for the water to flow through. They're not connected end to end, instead these ends overlap, and again, water is transferred horizontally through the pits that are of the adjoining cells. And here we can see the pits here on the side here, and again, the cylindrical structure to form that continuous tube. The phloem, in contrast, transports organic nutrients, so which are dissolved sugars, are produced in the leaves by photosynthesis throughout the plant. Some other organic substances, such as amino acid, are also transported in the phloem. What we call this material that is transported through the phloem is phloem sap, and some of the phloem sap can be stored within the cells, and this is stored in the form of starch. When it is stored, it is used for structural support, but it can also be used as an energy source when the plants cannot photosynthesize. Sperm cells have these seed tubes, which are living cells with no nucleus, and these form linear rows of elongated cells. They're perforated and thin at each end to form these sieve plates. And we can see here that it does again act like a straw through which the sugars and other materials can move. Companion cells are a type of parenchyma cells which provide metabolic support and help load and unload materials through the plant. They are still carrying out metabolic functions as they do retain their nuclei, and they share their metabolic products. Parenchyma cells are cells which make up the soft tissue of a plant. In the leaves themselves, they contain chloroplasts, and they do make up the mesophyll layer, which is where the cells which photosynthesize are located. They can have large vacuoles that store starch, fats, proteins, and water, and these can also provide buoyancy to plants. And due to the variation in function that they can play, their structures can vary. And sclerenchyma cells provide strength and structural support for the plant. They are made of cellulose and lignin, and their cell walls, which are made up by the cellulose and lignin, are quite thick. They're found in the stems, roots, and the vascular tissues of leaves, and also found in the outer layer of seeds and the shell of nuts. That ends part 2. Make sure you tune in for part 3 of lesson 3, the autotroph series.